Hello everybody and welcome back to the Overlap Breakdown channel. Breaking news, Ruben Amorim is sacked as manager of Manchester United, and I'm here today to give my reaction and to break down the situation. Okay, Happy New Year everyone. Thank you very much for the support over the channel. I got a little bit of a break off over Christmas, so I'm very grateful for that. But coming first thing Monday morning, Ruben Amorim sacked of Manchester United as Manchester United manager. And for something that's it felt after the Leeds press conference, it felt like the clock was ticking, especially after the doubts, the reports that come out about the doubts of him being Manchester United manager last night. And yeah, we've arrived at a situation where Ruben Amorim has been sacked. Darren Fletcher is going to take over as interim manager come Wednesday against Burnley away. And I'm a bit gobsmacked, to be honest. I did not think this was coming. I didn't think he'd get sacked for performance levels. I know there's been a lot of talk about how good really are United. They are currently sitting in 6th place, but if you look at the table, I think they're 3 points off 4th, but also 4 points off 14th. So the table is very much deceiving. You don't really know where anyone is, but you can only go off where you are right now in the table. And Manchester United currently, going off the board's expectations, are sat roughly where they would want to be in terms of the European places. But Ruben Amorim's comments yesterday after the Leeds game, very, very telling and very damning. And whilst a lot of people will celebrate this sacking, I don't doubt that a lot of people will be very happy that he's gone because they didn't like his football, they didn't like stuff. There are wider questions to be asked of Manchester United and their system, especially under Ineos's leadership. And for me, this is a sacking that I don't really feel anything to it, to be honest. I feel a bit in between everything. Omar Barada was the man who pushed for Ruben Amorim, according to Laurie Whitwell on The Athletic, and then Jason Wilcox handed over the recruitment for Ruben Amorim's tenure as Manchester United manager, and he expressed immediate concerns when Ruben Amorim was appointed about his style and the current makeup of Manchester United's squad. We arrive in a situation now where Manchester United have bought 3 premium attackers, a goalkeeper, and haven't really, well, they've danced around the fire when it comes to specialised profiles in the wing-back department, the midfield department. Everyone knows how much we needed a midfielder. And it felt a little bit like he'd been dealt a really poor hand. Despite getting so much investment, it felt to me that if you were really going to back a 3-4-3, you would need a specialised profile. I think he even said that he wanted Ollie Watkins and not Sesko, according to reports on The Athletic. He was desperate for a midfielder. The left wing back, obviously they pushed for Antoine Semenyo and lost out, but they've shown their hand a little bit with the money and the interest in Semenyo. £65 million is the release clause, and it felt that Ruben Amorim has somewhat lashed out at the idea to want to get a player like Semenyo, but then not reinvest that money in January. And you could argue the profiles and the market value of the players in midfield, at wing-back, they're not there. But Ruben Amorim made very boisterous comments about being a manager of the football club and not a head coach, even though when he was appointed, Manchester United announced him as a head coach, and Sir Jim Ratcliffe and other people in the senior boardroom did say that they were going to appoint a coach, not a manager. They wanted their coach to coach a football style. But for me, I've been really disappointed with Ruben Amorim pretty much the whole way through. We have been better this year. But there were still so many moments this season where I've just been really stung by some of the performances. I went to the West Ham at home game. It's one of the worst home games I've ever seen United play in person. The Everton game, the Bournemouth game, the Wolves game, the Leeds game, the Grimsby game, the Forest game, everything. It was just really, really bad. And you can only have so many of them results. And even though it's not down to performance, it's down to what has been said after the game, which was comments about, you know, I've been here to coach. I'm here as a coach, but I want to be the manager, you know. I think there has been a massive miscommunication between the board and the manager, because he clearly thinks that he has more of an overriding say on situations at the club when it comes to signing players, when it comes to making big calls on a wider scale. He had that treatment at Sporting, and he's been sacked, and I'm really, really shocked about what's happened and the way he's been sacked and the way Maresca was sacked and stuff like that. And that does leave us on to obviously talking about potential replacements for Ruben Amorim. And for me, if I'm looking at the way the Ineos board is set up and the way the recruitment team's set up with Wilcox and Barada, it really feels like Enzo Maresca's a tap-in for this recruitment team. So potentially another video coming on that if it does materialise into something. But this is a very, very not shocking. I thought the comments were pretty bad. I thought the comments were pretty boisterous. He was telling the sporting directors to do their job. He's telling the scouts to do their job, and he will do the management side of the role. It does feel like there has been a massive miscommunication between the two. Someone's telling lies somewhere in the board as well. Someone is telling lies because you cannot. This is where I stand on the Ruben Amorim situation. I've been massively, massively, massively disappointed in the performances, the results, everything. I think some of the football that's been played even this season, despite us being in 6th place, has been putrid, has been awful. But this is a manager who said he will never change his formation in the first couple of weeks of the job. That must have been clarified in the interview process, right? They're not that bad of a recruitment team to not know that. So if they're coming into Manchester United with a 3-4-3 and he's not going to change, then you have to understand that he's going to be upset if he's not backed in the specialised roles of the 3-4-3. I'm talking wing backs, I'm talking an energetic midfielder, even though we still needed one despite the situation. But specialised wing backs, mobile centre halves, of course attackers, but attackers that are specific to the 3-4-3. I think he looks at it and goes, they've not really backed me and they've not really believed in the idea. And the fact that we've got to a situation in the past few months where the board have been now asking him to change his idea, to change to a 4-3-3. He was never, ever going to do that when he was brought in. So why have you brought him in? He's a manager who even he said he's only ever coached this system. He was never going to change, and he has changed to try and save his job and potentially to try and get some money in the January transfer window. But then he reverts again. In the Wolves game, in the Leeds game, he reverts again. He goes back because that's where he feels comfortable. He feels comfortable in the 3-4-3. I'm really torn on this. I don't think anyone comes out of this in a glowing light. I think the board have got massive questions to answer for. I think Ruben Amorim, writing was on the wall with the comments, but can you really say that he's wrong for calling out the board? Can you really say that? I don't think you can say he's in the wrong for saying what he said. You do have to have credit in the bank before you go and say them comments. With Maresca won 2 trophies. He got Champions League football. He had the potential right, as why Chelsea fans are so outraged with the sacking, some of them, is he had the leg to stand on to talk about wanting this, wanting that in the market. So he had the leg. Ruben Amorim doesn't have that leg to stand on. Whether he's right or wrong, he didn't have the credit in the bank to stand on. And yeah, the 3-4-3, if I were just to talk about the sort of structure of what's going on, obviously, we've gone from the 3-4-3 to the 4-3-3, but there is massive structural issues that we've covered all over the channel. We'll talk about the middle centre-half in midfield, on the goalkeeper kicks. We're talking about the wing-backs, especially at home. They've been full-backs. Even in the Leeds game, he refused to play an attacking profile and put that Patrick Dorgu as the right 10 in the Leeds game. That's not an exactly forward-thinking move. We went to Leeds with 6 defenders on the pitch and 2 central defensive midfielders. And even though he's not been sacked for performance levels, you can still argue that, well, we can't argue, it's fact. He's got one of the worst win rates percentages in the entire history of Manchester United as a manager. And I think, I said that I've been very vocal on social media about this. I'm a Manchester United fan. I'm really, really passionate about Manchester United. I'm shell-shocked about this decision because I don't know where we turn next, but no one comes out of this in a glowing light. Usually the board are getting praise for sacking managers, but the board are now coming under pressure because they've made bad decision. They kept Eric Ten Hag after the FA Cup final, proved to be the wrong decision. The summer window, a lot of the transfers, bad decisions. They got Ruben Amorim in, which appeared to be a bad decision. He was reluctant to change from a 3-4-3. They knew that before the interview even commenced. If I did, and we said it on the channel, if I knew that, how the hell can Manchester United's recruitment team and board not know that he's reluctant to change? We analysed Manchester United and straight away said he's not going to change. We knew he's not going to change. He come here, he plays this, and then 12 months down the line, they're getting him to try and change the system when they've not bought the specialised profiles. They have cooked something and they don't like the taste of it. And they're the ones, for me, who come off in a very bad light. And I've criticised Ruben Amorim massively on this channel. It's not been good enough. It's been putrid, slow football, full-backs at wing-back, too many defensive selections, too reserved, too slow. not enough risk taking, not enough adaptability within the shape. He's also been very, very bad in this situation, but we cannot forget the recruitment team and what the board have done with this appointment after an extremely bad decision to keep Erik ten Hag in a job after the FA Cup final and sort of buying into that fan pressure. This next appointment is, we all said this about Ruben Amorim, this next appointment is absolutely massive. It's massive, because if they keep getting it wrong, they'll be hounded out. And the transfer, the summer recruitment at the moment is looking like the saving grace, because Lamans, Mbeumo, Cunha, Sesko in patches, still waiting to see a little bit more from him. They look like Manchester United players. They look good enough to play for Manchester United. But it's just an absolute mess. From the boardroom down, it's an absolute mess. And Darren Fletcher's going to take charge of the Burnley game. I'm reading David Ornstein's article. The Portuguese's final game of his 14-month spell was the 1-1 away at Leeds that left Manchester United sixth in the Premier League after 20 matches. Former midfielder and current under-18s head coach Darren Fletcher is expected to take charge on an interim basis. His first game will be away at Burnley on Wednesday night, with a permanent appointment likely to wait until the summer. Yeah, I don't know. It screams, if they were going to keep Darren Fletcher in there until the summer, it screams reset to me. It does feel like they've been signing players that can play in different formations, different shapes. I don't think you can class Mbeumo as a 3-4-3 signing. I don't think you can class Sesko as that, Lamans as that. Cunha maybe a little bit in between, but it looks like to me they've signed players for multiple different systems because they don't know where their eggs are. I don't know what eggs they're throwing into what basket at the moment. So it's a very, very tricky situation, and they have to get this one right. They have to get the next one right. I said this about Amorim. We've been here many a times before, and I think a lot of Manchester United fans, including myself, as you can tell, we're tired of this chopping and changing. And whilst I really didn't think Ruben Amorim was doing a stellar job at Manchester United, I thought there was a lot to answer for. The board have also got a lot to answer for after his comments being made and what he's made of the manager role, the head coach role, the difference in the roles. Someone's lying in this situation, and it's much easier to sack a manager than sack the board. And I'm really stunned by this one. I don't know where Manchester United turn. For me, I think if I'm looking at what Manchester United are doing currently on and off the pitch, Enzo Maresca potentially could be Manchester United manager. He's available. He's proven. He's a good tactician. I'm not going to say I don't like him. He doesn't really play the football that I'd associate with Manchester United, but neither did Ruben Amorim, and they still appointed him. So, yeah, this is a bad one. This is a real bad one. I'm in complete disbelief, and I'm in a bit of a shock, to be honest, because I didn't think he would go, even after the comments. But writing was on the wall after the Leeds game. The performances haven't been good enough, but he's not been sacked for performances. He's been sacked for speaking out on the board and sort of questioning their commitment to him in the January transfer window and other transfer windows potentially either side of that. So, yeah, let us know what you've made of this entire situation. Let us know how much faith you have in Manchester United selecting a good enough replacement for Ruben Amorim in the future of Manchester United and what it holds. I've always said this about Manchester United, especially recently. I think personally we have a good squad. I really do think we have a good squad. I think it's got quite a good spine. Despite the central midfield player, I think when you look at the attackers that Manchester United have available to them, Cunha, Bruno, Sesko, Mbeumo, Ahmad, that's a really good attacking lineup. The midfield with one or two additions in there, Kobbie Mainoo, Mason Mount when fit, Casemiro when fit, and there's a lot going in there. And I think that's good enough. There's got a lot of central defenders, a lot of good young up-and-coming defenders. Heaven, despite his mistake at Leeds, still a very good player. Got Manchester United's player of the month last month, Lenny Yoro. The fullbacks are still fullbacks, so it can transition quite easily into a formation with a back four. But I'm just praying that they get this next one right, because I'm sick and tired of chopping and changing. And to be honest, I didn't have the utmost faith in Ruben Amorim. I really didn't, because I couldn't see if he weren't going to spend in January, how it was going to get that much better. And the table was that condensed and the performances were that patchy, despite the underlying numbers being quite good. It felt like the Wolves game, the Nottingham Forest game, the Bournemouth game, the Everton game, the West Ham game. There was enough proof in the pudding there to suggest that this isn't going to get a country mile better. But Darren Fletcher to take charge. I'm wishing him the best. Yeah, mad couple of hours for Manchester United, honestly. But yeah, like I said, let us know what you've made of the Ruben Amorim sacking, who you potentially would want as the next Manchester United manager, if it is Enzo Maresca during the season, or if we should wait until the end of the season to restart the process, which is probably where my eggs will be put into that basket. I would wait until the summer to regroup, go again, and have a look at the manager market come then. Because at the moment, this feels like another situation where Ineos could panic again and get another decision wrong. This needs to be a really thought out process of where the club wants to be, where they want to take it, who's best fitting for the squad. And I just wish Darren Fletcher the best, and hopefully he can get Manchester United Champions League football. And if he does, absolutely quality to have that on your CV. So thank you very much for watching. Happy New Year, everyone. And we'll see you next time on the Overlap Breakdown. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe to the channel. And we'll see you next time. Thank you.